Hello and welcome back to Red, White, and Real, a podcast where Jarrett and I talk about the current political and cultural issues dividing America today. All right, Jarrett, you got a holiday for us today?
Uh, well, it's Nancy Pelosi's birthday,
Oh,
so we could celebrate the fact that she's getting older and older, and eventually will probably not be in government. Uh,
no, they like old ones. Come on. The older you get,
I
the more
think she'll
competent.
she'll remain in government after she dies. She'll be like a lifelong member somehow.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We're
It's like
gonna be 100
Futurama,
years. We're gonna be
where they.
100 years down the road, and they're gonna be like, "We're voting on this. This is what she would want, though. So let's add another vote for her, and we'll call it good."
No, it's like
Um,
Futurama where the heads come off and they just have the heads on the shelf, like she's just whispering in the ears.
Probably. It's scary that I believe this. Um, it's also National Make Up Your Own Holiday Day, which might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
What if
And
that holiday is fake and they made it up?
oh, they're all fake.
No,
They're
they're
all
real.
they're all dumb. And it's Wear a Hat Day, which I celebrate roughly 360 days a year. So
Oh, not those five? Not those
no,
5
I
days?
take about 5 off. There's about 5 that I just never. If I don't get dressed, I don't put on a hat. So
That's fair. That's fair.
that's kind of my go-to.
All right, so let's do a quick rundown of what articles we got today.
All right.
So we got Trump has invoked another executive order seeking to mandate proof of citizenship in voter registration. And then we have the U.S. says it brokered a deal to end fighting in the Black Sea in talks with Ukraine and Russia. That'll be good for trade. And then we're going to talk about Mike Waltz and his massive leak. That's all we're going to say on that. And then we have a story about a Michigan couple as well today.
All right.
Should be pretty good. Should be a pretty good one. All right,
All right.
here
So,
you want me to start reading, and then you'll rant
yep,
about an executive order because this
yep.
guy
I'll rant
hates
about the
them. So
executive order aspect. I hate them. I think they are the worst thing that our government set up.
okay, so yeah. So President Trump has signed a new executive order that would require prospective voters to show proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote. The order's sweeping changes test the power of Trump's presidential authority. Voting rights advocates worry the new provisions could block millions of Americans from voting if enacted, and say Trump lacks the legal authority to make such changes. That's a quick little talk. So what do you think about that?
So the issue is, in a federalized system for a federal government, each state was supposed to be allowed to run their elections the way they deem valid.
Yeah.
Obviously, the issue with that is southern states were basically saying, well, we don't want black people to vote. And then the federal government stepped in, basically said, well, no, you need to let everyone who's legal vote. And doing so made it where essentially each state is allowed to run their elections the way they want to, but they have so many restrictions that they basically all run relatively the same. Different
Yeah.
ballots, different formats, but it's all like generalized rules, which is a good thing. The
See.
issue is
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we need an executive order means that more than 60% or less than 60% of our federal government thinks that that's a bad thing, that you need to be like prove that you're a citizen to vote.
Yeah.
And that scares me of what those 40%, why would you not want that? Like
Yeah, I feel like at the bare bones, this is one of the greatest changes he's talked about since even before. You know, it's just he wants the bare minimum to make it so your ID is required to vote, which I have no issue with. That's how I've always had to vote. I always show them my ID. They look at my license. They check check the address. They double check the precinct. They check everything. It's like, why is this such a problem in typically blue states like California, New York? Like, why is there no ID? You can just walk in and be like, oh, my name's my name's fucking, I don't even know, Ted Cruz, and look
yeah.
at me. Like, you got to vote now.
Yeah, and it's so dumb too because it's one of those things. Is it actually a big deal? Probably not. Has it even swung
No.
in the election? No. But it's creepy to me that it's something that people will defend. It's like a law going out there that says like you can't beat your wife, and people are like, I disagree with the law. It's
It's
like,
like,
okay, well, why?
yeah.
like,
What are you
like
doing?
just on hindsight, like it's like you gotta kind of stand your ground on this one. Of yes, I think people who vote should be legal citizens within the country. Like I think that's a valid like standard to set.
Yeah. So the
Like you,
documentation that he is wanting to make a required is passport or government issued ID to register. This is just federal elections too. This will not
yeah,
affect state elections. So
yeah, it won't
that's
matter locally.
yeah. So, but critics argue that the president lacks the constitutional authority to impose such requirements, as election administration is traditionally managed by states. Voting rights advocates express concern that these measures, could disenfranchise millions of eligible voters who may not possess the necessary documentation. So, wait, they might not possess. So, you can go get a state ID for $20.
Yeah,
Like,
I like the there's a video that went around where it was a bunch of white people basically saying
mhm.
how black people can't get a license, and then when they ask black people, they all just assume that the person is asking where the DMV is at. every time they ask, every time they ask, they're like, "Oh yeah, if you take a left down," like they're trying to describe it because they don't even really understand the question. They're like, "Yeah, of course we all
Yeah.
have IDs." Like
Yeah, I
it's
don't
such
know
a
what they're talking about. I think they're talking about illegals when they say, well, people, they don't have IDs.
yeah,
Because it's like, what?
I don't get it. It's one of those things like I've argued with people about, and at the end of the conversation, I never actually understood their point.
No,
Still,
I've never
it,
understood it at all. Like, why? Okay, so Michigan actually just had, it almost passed, but Republicans shut it down. It was to allow non citizens to get driver's licenses in Michigan. This just happened,
it
like, last week.
so it's also hard because the term like even non-citizens, it's
Yeah.
the the issue is it's like every other conversation. It always
Hmm.
boils down into a definitional argument of there are people who are legally in the country who are not citizens of the country,
Yeah,
and
like
that's
student
okay.
visas, and
Yeah,
yeah.
student visas or even just here on travel and whatnot.
Hmm.
Obviously, they shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
But say someone's here, and I guess I don't even know how it works. Like, if I go to Europe, I have a driver's license here in America. I actually don't know. Does that carry over as a driver's license in like
I'm not sure.
Germany?
I have
But
no clue.
so that's a good question to ask. Like, okay, a German person comes over here for like a 2 month vacation. Do they have to use Uber the whole time,
Yeah.
or can they get like a minor, like a different type of license? I actually don't know. But
I'm
we
looking
never
it
will
up
get to that point
quickly.
of the conversation because it's always well, if they're illegal, they just shouldn't do something. It's like, okay, but illegal in what sense? Like,
Okay, so it's for UK, France, and Germany, tourists are allowed to drive with the US license for a limited period, typically 3 to 6 months. And then other ones you need an IDP, which is an international driving permit, which is just you can get one through AAA or something like that before traveling.
yeah, so it's like that's a good question to ask. Like, okay, is Michigan
Yeah.
trying to give those people licenses versus
Yeah,
like,
I didn't read up into it that much, but the
yeah,
way
no,
that
it's
they were, from what I saw from like both sides, was that it was not talking about them. It was not talking about like
well,
student visas and stuff, but
and no matter what, it will always make it more
hmm
complicated now for like so I run election polls. And
yeah,
nothing is more annoying than when someone will come in and go, "Well, do I have to show you my license?" It's like, "Legally? No." But then I'm just going to ask you for all the information you have on it. I'm going to type it into my database and it's going to basically pull up your license. So it's
yeah,
like,
or you can just show it to me, and I can
yeah,
just go.
it's like, yeah,
Foop.
you're going to either show it to me, I'm going to scan it and get all the information in one go, or I'm going to sit here and ask you a bunch of questions. And since you legally have a license, I will get all that information one way or another. Like, it's,
See, that's what I don't get. Is like it kind of ties into like the people with law enforcement too. Like they were, it's just compliance with dumb shit. Like they don't want to comply with anything. Like I'm not giving you my ID. It's like why? I'm trying to make this faster for
I'm
you.
trying to make this easy.
Like why are
Do
you
you know
against
what?
this?
Do you know what an election challenger is?
No.
So election challenger is allowed they have to be sent by one of the two parties. So they have to be like a party representative in some way, shape, or form. And they come into election polling and they're allowed to challenge any ballot. So
Okay.
if they see someone vote like without presenting an ID, if someone walks in, I go, "Hey Travis, I know you. Yeah, you're good. I know you're in this
Yeah.
precinct. Go on." They're allowed to sit there and they're allowed to go, "I challenge that vote." And then
Hmm.
that vote gets set aside and everything gets analyzed and basically make sure everything is in the up and up.
Yeah.
The one time I've ever been challenged was I let someone use an ID that was not a driver's license. It was their like veteran ID. It was their
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
and which is completely legal. It had all the information on it that needed to
Mm-hmm.
be on it, and it's even scanned in our system. But that was the only time I was ever challenged. So the issue I have is when we start giving licenses to people who cannot vote,
Mm-hmm.
it's another challenge of now I have to scan their system. Now I have to explain to them why they can't vote. Everyone else in line is just seeing me tell someone they can't vote. I'm not allowed to
Yeah.
even legally tell them why that guy isn't allowed to vote because that's personal
Exactly.
information. So it it makes things look sketchy.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we just
and
need a process that's not like a driver's license, but something so that like foreigners, yeah, if they have the like their current European one or something, like yeah, let them get something and let them drive. Like even just a permit based system, because then that rules that out. They can drive, and then they don't have an ID to go vote in elections. Like,
yeah, elections should be. Granted, I would be a little biased, and
hmm
I would restrict elections a little bit more. I do think it should be like an in-person thing.
yeah,
Mail-in voting should be very used, like very minorly.
yeah, like
Like,
military overseas and stuff like
yep,
that. Like, yeah.
military overseas, people who are
hmm
working like election polls and whatnot, like
hmm
stuff like that. But it's also I understand the argument of it's a right for our citizens, so we should make sure that they're able to do it. But God, watching people walk in and not even know who they're voting for is one of the hardest things to sit there as a poll worker and be like, what? The legit. I've had people walk up and go, "Well, which one's a Republican?" And it's like it's Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. What do you mean? It's like
It's the one with the R next
yeah.
to
I
him.
was like,
Like
I
he's got
can't.
an R.
What? How are you functional enough to get out of bed, get dressed, walk here, get into the election poll center, and not know who you're voting for? Why are you here? Like,
Yeah, I guess.
do you feel required to be here? Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
it,
there are people who will straight up just ask them. Like I've heard it, and they're like, like who's on the ballot? And they're like, well, there's a lot of people. Like this,
oh,
there's like
we always
50
get
people
asked
on here.
who are the pro-abortion ones or who are the anti-abortion ones?
You're
And
like,
it's
you're
like
supposed to
I'm
research this
legally not
beforehand.
allowed to tell you. Yeah,
Yeah, you need to
I can tell
research
you.
this beforehand.
Yeah, I can tell you that's a Republican. I can't tell you if they're a pro-abortion or anti-abortion because that's my
Yeah,
opinion. So
yeah,
I feel bad for these people where it's like we're trying to make it easier for people to vote, but we got so many people walking in there who
hmm
you give them a bubble sheet and they look at you like it a foreign concept. Like, well, I just want to write down who I want for president. Like, that's not how this works. Like, but
Technically, you can just fill out president, can't you? On a
mhm,
presidential?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's another thing that confuses people. At least in Michigan, this could be different in other states.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. But we sometimes will have elections where you're not allowed to cross party lines.
Oh yeah,
So
like
if you vote
every
Republican,
primary. Yeah, it's
yep,
horrible. I think
primaries
that's
especially.
stupid. I think that's stupid. You should be able to vote who you want,
The
kinda. Like,
the reason they do that though is since it's not like it's the parties themselves are holding that election. It's not
yeah.
the
hmm
federal government or anything. And of course, both parties don't want you to split votes because then they don't get
Yeah.
the information they want. They want to see how many people are likely to show up in November and what they need to switch
Yeah.
beforehand. Like,
Yeah.
but because of that, though, Michigan was a huge one for it. So many people voted for Nikki Haley in the primaries,
Yeah.
and Nikki Haley had no momentum in the Republican Party.
Nope.
But then a bunch of Democrats thought, oh, yeah, we have a chance of going against Nikki Haley. And it's like, well, no, only you guys voted for Nikki Haley, but you guys just switched party lines to do it. Like,
Yeah.
so you get some skewed numbers there. It's all interesting,
Yeah.
but it's all games. It's
Yeah, but some of those is weird because, like, I can understand for, like, something big, but then you go down to, like, the lower,
Mhm.
like, elections that happen on the primaries. And, like, there's some stuff that you would want to cross for, especially in your
Yeah.
town. Like, there's some things that maybe, like, a good, smart Democrat, I would want them to do something. So if they're smart, like,
Yeah. Someone like used to be your teacher or something. It's like I don't care that they
exactly.
had a D next to their name. They taught me government. Like,
Yeah,
all
like,
right,
I
I
know
know they
they
know what they're
understand how
doing.
it works. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I might disagree with them morally, but they're like my AP Gov teacher was a Democrat, and her husband was a Republican who was another teacher in our school.
Oh, that's
And it was
awesome.
like, it was super interesting. Every once in a while, she would talk about like their dynamics at home. And it's like, well, this is what my husband said. Like, I don't know what the actual Republican opinion is, but
Hmm.
this is at least like what I have to argue against my husband. It was always kind of cool to see that dynamic. But yeah, I
Yeah,
would
that's
vote for
good.
her if she was on like a school board or something.
Exactly, but primary, it's like,
Yeah. But we want things to be. I'm going to do a transition. Watch how this
Hmm.
works.
Okay, okay, I'm
We
watching.
want our elections to be valid, so that we
Hmm.
don't have a situation like what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, where they constantly, no matter who wins an election, it's said that, well, yeah, of course they did, because either Putin's is a dictator or Ukraine, their elections are completely invalid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
Ukraine
need to
hasn't
clean
held an
up
election
ours.
in a long time. Yeah.
No, it's
That's what Trump's
it,
kind of calling for. He wants them to do another election, but he's just gonna Zelensky's gonna be like, nope, still wartime, and he's just never
both
gonna.
both sides are going to hate hearing this, but I fully believe that Putin would win a legitimate election in Russia,
Oh,
and
100%.
Zelensky would win a legitimate election in Ukraine right now.
Yeah, maybe.
I fully
I know
believe that.
Ukraine. I feel like is more toppled though, but yeah, Russia 100%. They want Putin.
Russia might be a little bit of a scare tactic because a lot of people
Yeah.
would be afraid to vote against him anyways. But usually in wartime strife, people
Mhm.
don't want to change the leadership because that looks
Yeah.
bad on the country. So,
Yeah. But I don't
but
know. I
we'll,
know
we'll
the people of Ukraine they're sick of it. They're done, and I think some of them are starting to really notice that Zelensky is kind of just going for this forever war instead of trying to find resolutions. But
the, the problem is it's a bully on the playground situation
yeah,
of Russia's the bully, Ukraine's the nerd, but eventually Ukraine has to realize they're not winning the fight. Like,
yeah,
Ukraine is going around the playground asking everyone for assistance, everyone to help, and no one really wants to fight the bully either, because
yeah.
that's a huge war at that point. United States
Mm-hmm.
step in, that's a huge war. And
Exactly.
it's like sometimes people just want the playground to be a little bit more peaceful. And sometimes you have to eat dirt to make that work. And Ukraine is
Yeah.
going to be, unfortunately, in that situation of morally, Russia did everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You should not go for territory that is not yours, hasn't been yours in a decade at that point. Like, but on Ukraine's side, you cannot fight forever, especially on
Yeah.
other people's resources. Like, that just doesn't work. But
Yeah. Especially now they're really seeing it now that the U.S. is not funding them. Like, I'm glad Europe's banding together a bit. You know, Europe's actually kind of paying their share now, for once. I know, crazy, right? A place with like 100 countries isn't able to do anything compared to one country.
well,
But
I've always described that when people ask me about this war. I always say it's essentially Ukraine didn't want to be in the EU, didn't want to be in the EU, got attacked, and basically said, "Put us in the EU so we can have the EU protection." It's
yeah,
like, that's not how
we
that
want
works. You don't.
NATO.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Yeah, you're not allowed to ask for support. Like, not be actually like contracted in. The only argument that they have for the United States responsibility is we basically told them to shut down their nuclear program. That would be the
Uh-huh.
only argument is, okay, we told you to shut down your nukes. Maybe we have some moral right to protect you, but
Hmm.
it's not like Japan. Japan, we have like a moral contracted, like, if you go to
Yeah,
war, we will back you
yeah,
if
or
you
other
need
people in NATO.
defense. Like,
Like somebody
yeah.
goes to war with France, we go to war with them. Like,
Yeah, it's like you can't just, as soon as a war starts, you can't then jump into that pack. Like, that's
no,
not.
not at all. No. And I'm glad NATO didn't hear them out because that's not how that works. You don't
Yeah,
just
no.
you don't sit here and be like, "No, I don't need help. No, I don't want to. I don't like you guys. No, I'm good." And then you get attacked and you're like, "Please help." No.
Yeah.
No.
It just
So
doesn't
here's
work
yeah.
that way.
So here's the article by AP because everyone loves them. The United States has brokered a tentative agreement between Ukraine and Russia to cease hostilities in the Black Sea and ensure safe navigation in the area. The deal, reached after 3 full days of negotiations in Saudi Arabia, includes provisions to prevent the military use of commercial vessels and establish designated inspection zones. However, Russia has indicated that full compliance is contingent upon the lifting of certain sanctions, particularly those affecting its agricultural exports and financial systems. Despite this development, challenges remain as both sides continue to report ongoing attacks and continuous issues such as control over Ukraine's nuclear plants persist. So there's that. And then Zelensky has announced that Ukraine is prepared to observe a ceasefire concerning attacks on energy infrastructure. Because, yeah, Russia's been going back and forth. Russia actually, I don't know if you saw it, but they flew a drone into the Chernobyl power plant.
That's
the one that literally blew up and turned itself into a nuke. And they're like, let's go do it again.
Try that one more time.
Yeah, obviously the area is pretty good now. Like, you shouldn't be there long, but you can go to the area, like, not the plant, but, like, Chernobyl, and you can walk around. Like, and you'll be fine. But
it's crazy to me,
it's
like,
not livable.
Like, life events like that has happened. Life events like the Challenger blowing up has happened. 9/11 has happened. Like, everyone has seen, like, these big disasters, and yet we make, like, little things sound like they're that big of a disaster. Like
Elon Musk, Tesla.
Yeah, Elon Musk,
this is a disaster. Like, they're saying it's the darkest day in American history, and I'm like, or January 6th.
Yeah, how often have you read, like, on social media, like, America is essentially like a third world country?
A lot. And I'm like, no. We are the like, S tier. We're the highest. Like,
we got running water and abundance of food to the point that our homeless people are obese. We are a privileged society.
And people are like, no, we're not.
And that's the thing. I feel bad because from a Ukrainian perspective right now is essentially I want just normalcy. I want my land. I want my life to go back to normal. A Russian's perspective right now is I want to probably end this war without looking like the biggest pussies on the planet. Like that we are this big powerhouse, probably the third like powerhouse in the world next to China and the United States, and then they lose a war against Ukraine. Like they don't want to be seen as the losers there. They need something out of it that they can go home and go, told you. Like, we planned on taking 2 cities. We only took 1, but we got something out of it.
Yeah, I think the peace talks that Trump had was that Russia would keep the Kremlin that they took over. They would keep that area. And then, the U.S. would go into Ukraine. They would start mining minerals, and then we'd help them join NATO, and we would have military presence there. That was what he suggested.
But this is also going to be the issue. The left honestly thinks unless Russia almost gets dismantled and Ukraine wins, they're going to look at this as a Trump failure. And the right is basically the second that there's a ceasefire is going to be like, Trump is the peace leader of the world.
Yeah, I think
so both sides want such an opposite. Yeah, I'm the same way. Ceasefire, make a fucking agreement, peace. Just stop. Please.
But then since Trump gave Russia the Kremlin, he's just Putin's little puppet. It's like, no, that's called negotiation. You end this war that's going to be going on forever, or you give him a little bit of land. Like
I said, the left will not be happy. The left's perspective of this is Trump will bow to Putin unless somehow in this war Ukraine either like gains territory or Russia falls. It's like that's never the outcome. Like, you should never even look at that as if it's the outcome. Unless
they're both
you want
running
to
out of fighters. Places. Yeah, they're both running out of fighters and resources. They're both have nothing.
Yeah, I bet you the Russian people want this war to end just as badly.
Everyone wants this war to end.
From a government perspective, it's kind of like the United States and Vietnam. You see a lot of the documents come out now, and it's a lot of the higher ups in the U.S. government basically saying like, yeah, we know this war did not go the way we planned, but we need something. We'll pull out, but we need something to win first. We need something where we can pull out and go, we did it. Instead, we went more and more and more years, and us as a superpower had to admit that we lost to a Vietnam, third world country. Like, it happens. Russia does not want that look, and they will never accept it.
Yeah. So enough about Zelensky and Putin. I hate talking about them because usually there's no resolution whatsoever whenever you speak about them. It's just we're gonna go on to it's still military in a way, but Mike Waltz big Signal group chat leak that was something. All right, that's crazy to me like that. So here's a little summary I have. U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has taken responsibility for a signal group chat leak in which top officials discussed military strikes in Yemen while a journalist was mistakenly added. Waltz admitted to creating the group but denied knowing the journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg, he's from The Atlantic, who reported on the incident. President Donald Trump and intelligence officials downplayed security concerns, insisting no classified information was shared. However, Democrats and some Republicans are calling for an investigation. The chat, which included Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, also contained decisions about making Europe pay for U.S. protection of shipping lanes. The National Security Agency, everyone's favorite NSA, has recently warned about vulnerabilities in Signal, and watchdog group American Oversight has filed a lawsuit against officials involved, citing violations of federal record-keeping laws. The leak has sparked major security concerns in Washington.
So, my biggest concern is who added him to the group. Because Mike Waltz claims he didn't know who the guy was, and it's a group that I assume it wasn't set up by just Mike Waltz. Like, I need all that information.
Yeah, Mike Waltz did make it. He admitted he made the group chat.
Yeah, he made the group chat, but is it like a normal group chat where other people can be added? Like,
I'm not sure.
And
we have to use it in the military, so let me check.
I was gonna say, is this guy also, was he added from day one in this group chat? It's been going for like 3 months, or is this suddenly this guy got added and then this information came out and then they leaked it immediately? Because if so, then I would assume like, oh, this was on purpose. Like, yeah, let's add him to the group, leak a few things, and see how quickly like it gets out to the public or something. Like,
but here's the thing too. So like, it says so-and-so added you to the group. It says it in big, bold letters. So if he was added, why didn't he report who added him? Be like, oh, this guy added me. This is like, because it tells you who added you. Like, it says it right at the top.
It doesn't sound like he used like a fake name or like, I'm gonna kind of complain a little bit about like real journalists used to have to do that where it's like, what was the was it Deep Throat or whatever was the
it's something goofy,
yeah, for the big government scandal. Like, it used to be like someone would have to like enter the group chat and their name is like, yeah, my name's Leon Carter, and the guy's name's actually like Stephen Smith. It's like, okay, well, at least then you could kind of go, okay, if this guy was just added and he's a journalist already, why did no one in the group go, wait, who the hell is this guy? Like,
it's like, because if they were trying to add somebody else, because they were like, oh, we were trying to add somebody else that was supposed to be involved. Okay, did you guys not think it was suspicious over multiple days that they didn't say anything? They never said hi. They never commented. They were just silent, observing. Like,
also, is the group 25 people or is it like 150 people? Because that makes,
I think they said it was like 6.
It was 6 people. You don't accidentally add one wrong person to a group of 6.
No, you notice. You
don't even do that in a friend group. Let alone like
a
social setting or a work setting where it's like, I have 6 employees and I forgot that we added a customer to our
thing.
What? Like, no, you don't do that. Like,
it makes no sense at all of what's going on.
Let's be honest. What was leaked? We attack Yemen, which I feel like we've done in every administration ever, and I'm still not 100% sure why, but whatever. We always attack Yemen. And everyone on the Republican side of the political spectrum has been complaining about Europe not paying their fair share for everything since Trump got elected in 2016. So they didn't even really leak anything new.
No, it's like
higher up Republicans want Europe to pay their fair share. Yeah, that's what their public stance is.
Yeah, it's literally like Mike Waltz is talking about, like, worked with DOD, here's a list, blah, 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 making sure everyone's briefed. And J.D. Vance, team, I'm out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we're making a mistake. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez Canal. 40% of European trade does. There's a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this, as POTUS said, is to send a message. I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging Work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc.
Even like in that, all of that I believe him saying. I
Yeah.
have slight disagreements with the president. There's slight like here and there.
Yeah.
That's not like none of this is interesting to me. This isn't like them coming out and being like
It's them
I'm
talking
trying to
about how
think
like
of,
they don't want to do this, but they feel like they have to. Like,
yeah. What
and then
would be scary is if they came out and it's like, hey, we want to start like a war with China right now. Yeah, let's end this war with like Ukraine and Russia. Let's end this war with Israel so that we can prepare a war with China. Because then it's like, okay, wait a minute. We're not talking about that on the public stage.
yeah,
All of what's got leaked is what's shocking here. What's leaked that we didn't know about beforehand. Like,
it's kind
I
of
don't
funny
know,
too.
it's
So
just-
like the article that revealed this leak, you have to pay for to read it.
which makes sense. It's someone's trying to make their payday. They,
Yeah, but
they
like
see the
they
opportunity.
obviously
and they're
don't
gonna
give a
take it.
shit about news. Then, like, you know what I mean? Like they're not
Because
actually
it's
like
not news.
yeah. But then they also
Like-
hide everything. Everything says like, oh, redacted. Content of this message was not published by the Atlantic, and I'm like, for one, they never actually shared screenshots. He only copied and pasted. I don't even know if this thing was fucking real. They could have just denied it, and nobody would believe this random reporter. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah.
you have to show screenshots. Like you have to. Like,
Which is also since he already since Mike Waltz took full responsibility
Mhm.
for it. So Tim Pool thinks it's a leak. Thinks it's a conspiracy that they did it on purpose. Like
yeah, as a
Yada,
press
yada.
release. Yeah.
yeah, as a press release. Some of that makes sense when you consider like that. I'm gonna take full responsibility, but they could have just denied it. You're right.
Mhm.
If it's just
Yeah.
text, I mean, just go but we don't take just people at their words. Have them show the proof. And
Yeah,
then leak
it's
the
like,
whole
oh,
thing.
anyone can change
Like,
their name to Mike Walsh, you know, like
yeah, it could be a high school group chat, far as we know.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
I don't know. Yeah.
they talk like it somewhat, where it's like, oh my god, I disagree with this, but yada yada, like it.
Yeah. Hey,
just sounds like a bunch
ChatGPT,
of
make
guys
this sound like
ranting.
JD Vance. Like,
Yeah, like there's, and also, you were talking about like the punctuation in it is super weird for like a text message format, right?
So Pete Hegseth says, all right, so first it starts with VP colon. For one, who the fuck puts a colon? Like, you'd be like VP, comma, you know what I mean? Like, if you're talking to VP, because maybe that's what you call him. You know what I mean? We don't know. They're dynamic. And he goes, I understand your concerns, hyphen, and fully support you raising, with, like, so with POTUS. Important considerations, comma, most of which are tough to know how they play out, in parentheses, economy, Ukraine peace, Gaza, etc. Period. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Hyphen. Nobody knows who the Houthis are. Hyphen. Which is why we need to stay focused on colon one, like a little parentheses, so like a bulletin kind of thing. Biden failed, and two, Iran funded. Like, and he keeps going on. Like the same thing. It's speaking like it's not text. You don't text like that. I'm not over here sending colons in my text. No, that sounds too professional. Like, it's a group chat talking about, like, you don't, no, it's not, it just doesn't seem, like, nobody does that. Nobody does. It makes no sense.
Also, I know we talked about this a little bit before we started
Mhm.
recording. The left right now, their stance on this is that all the Republicans are downplaying how important this is and what a breach to security this would be, and what
Yeah.
if this information got out. Like, first off, the information is out. No one cares.
Yeah.
The life does not move on, other than the fact that it makes some Republicans look a little bit less responsible than they should.
Like, obviously, I think it should be
Like-
investigated. But I think it's also, like, this could be a purposeful thing.
Yeah.
But I think
Figure
it
out
should still be
who
investigated.
actually added him to the chat.
Yeah,
figure
it's
out
not
who
that
added
hard
him
to figure it
chat.
out.
How long is he in the chat? What information does he have? Does he have any that are actually like top secret? Oh God, we can't let this out type stuff.
Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, it just makes the Republicans look bad. It doesn't actually affect politics in any way, shape, or form. Like,
Yeah. And it's just, yeah, like you said, it just makes them look bad. And I feel like it's just, I kind of agree with Tim Pool on the press release angle, because a lot of the stuff is like JD Vance saying like, oh, we don't want to do this, but the people don't understand that we need to. It literally sounds like a press release that they're just trying to publish, but I don't know. I'm not a big conspiracist, and I guess we'll just have to see. I think it should be investigated because this is just something that doesn't. If it was something that actually like leaked, they need to figure out who the fuck added this guy and why, and everything. I think that it should be investigated. Simple as that.
Yeah, just figure out. Remember, a lot of these politicians are also old people who you're trying to. They go, this is encrypted like messaging. They have no idea what that actually means. They're just told, hey, download this app. This app is safer than this app. Don't download TikTok, but go on Facebook, which also collects their information. Like they're just told kind of what to do. These people are. You've worked with your grandparents before. I try and hook up like a router.
Yeah.
Where it's like, my grandma calls her router a converter box.
A converter box.
Yep. She's like, can you buy me a converter box and come out and hook it up? I think mine's broken. I literally had to call her and go, Grandma, I have no idea what you mean by converter box.
You're like, I'm not a fucking electrician. Like,
yeah, I'm like, I know you must mean something different. And she's like, well, yeah, just go to Walmart and tell them you need a converter box. They'll know what I mean. I'm like, no, they wouldn't. Like, I know what you mean. Like, so those are the people in government right now. Like,
yeah.
Like, those are the people where it's like, hey, do you know what encrypted means? And they probably think like, yeah, every message gets like saved somewhere safe. It's like, so the message is saved somewhere. That's not safe.
It's not safe.
Yeah, but we do have some local news. We want to move on to some local news.
Yeah, it's not the greatest news. It's not happy news, but it is news. Here, let me scroll back up and find my article. Oh, here it is. So Paul and Christy, I believe it's Akio. We're going with Akio. It's a Michigan couple.
Akio or Akio.
Yeah, they have been detained in a Mexican maximum security prison since March 4th over a dispute with Palace Resorts concerning a $117,000 charge related to a timeshare agreement. The couple contends that Palace Resorts breached their contract, entitling them to a refund, which they never received. So, during spring break, they went to Cancun, and they were arrested on criminal fraud charges. Palace Resorts is reportedly demanding $250,000, a signed NDA, and a public apology for their release. Family members report that Christie has lost significant weight due to inadequate prison food and has developed health issues. Efforts involving the U.S. Embassy, FBI, and U.S. Representative Tom Barrett are underway to secure their release. This is just insane to me. That they're just, like, I don't know what actually went on, because, Mexico's not ever going to tell you. They're never going to tell you what's actually going on. So it's like, I don't know if they actually did something wrong. I don't know what's going on, but we're probably going to have to do, like, a prisoner transfer. We're going to have to do some dumb shit like that and give them cartel members, like, it's stupid.
So, what I misread the first time, I thought this was all, like, recent, like, stuff. After months of challenging the charges, American Express sided with the couple. The money was returned to the Akios, and their membership to the Palace company was canceled. Since the incidents, the Akios have returned to Cancun multiple times over the past few years and have never ran into trouble until recently. So this isn't like they got a refund, then they went back, and the second they stepped foot on the premises, they got arrested. This isn't like
No, this is
they
like
just
they were
now
waiting.
started questioning it. Yeah, their membership was canceled. They got refunded. In their mind, they've gone Cancun a few times and they've never had issues. And now randomly they get arrested for something that was already in their mind
resolved.
Like,
yeah.
So
I don't know, because like
that's
it's
scary.
And especially because Mexico shouldn't be blaming them. Blame American Express. American Express saw it as fraudulent and everything. Like they researched that shit like crazy. When that shit happens, like they look into everything. And it could, like, I just don't get it. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, and obviously we're getting one side of the story. Obviously, we're not going to ever get Mexico's side of the story. They're not going to come out and go, well, these people are hardened criminals who actually stole millions from the Mexican government. I mean, you're never going to get that. But, like you said, now U.S. is getting involved. And honestly, though, if you're Mexico in any way, why are you messing with U.S. when Trump's president?
Yeah, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You don't take... Plus, a Supermax prison? Supermax, they have, like, cartel members, gang members, like, people who have killed a lot of people, and they're like, oh, yeah, we got these people for fraud. Let's go throw these Americans in there. Like, what?
That's the the point though, I think, is a scare tactic here.
Yeah.
But also though, it's weird because a lot of Mexico's money comes from the U.S. like tourism, even.
Yeah.
So why would you ever make U.S. like civilians
I don't
scared?
know.
I don't know. It just seems
It's
sketchy.
weird. It
Yeah,
also just seems
just
like ransom. Like they're like, oh, you need to apologize,
somewhat
give us 250 grand, and we'll let you out. Like what?
maybe, but
Yeah,
no
maybe.
guarantee of
What
letting them
what
out.
country does that? We don't do that. We don't go, oh yeah, we arrested your guy. Like, give us 7 million, and we won't treat him like shit anymore. Like, what? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what's going on right now? Because I saw that article on Facebook. I'm actually friends with the daughter. I believe her name's
Really?
Lindsay. Yeah, like not friends, but like like we know each other,
Yeah,
friend to
you
friend.
know her, know of her.
Yeah, yeah, and like yeah, her parents, yeah, they've been gone since March 4th. It's been 3 weeks. Like, they're just rotting in a Mexican supermax.
God, I also hate being this guy. Last sentence in the New York Post one.
Mm-hmm.
Hall said that she has pleaded for help from the American Embassy in Mexico and other federal and state agencies, including the FBI and government Gretchen Whitmer's office. Do you notice that in every topic of this, Gretchen has never even mentioned it yet?
No,
But
I'll check her
US
Twitter. I'll verify. Let me check. But
Yeah, let's see. Because U.S. Rep. Tom Barrett,
he's been all
Republican in
over it. He's been tweeting about it, saying he's working
Yep.
on it. Like,
posted
I
on
love Tom
X
Barrett though.
Monday
He's a
that he
great
has.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, so this is also kind of a scary thing. So Congress, Tom Barrett, I'm gonna pull up his tweet right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that like our governor is not coming out and flat out saying like, "Yo, U.S. government, you gotta help me get my civilians back." Like these are two couples from Michigan that I also hate being this guy. Clearly, they have a
Yeah.
lot of money because of
Yeah.
what they're doing here. Like they seem pretty important and whatnot as is, and now they're locked in Mexico like federal maximum prison. And our governor doesn't even care. It has to take like a state.
She's
rep
talking about
to do it.
election stuff. She's talking
Is
about like
that what-
saving Medicaid. She's traveling to Tucson, and all she does is post about other states. All she does is
Alright,
care about
so,
being president. She does not give
read
a
this.
fuck about us.
This is Rep. Tom Barrett. I'm going to leave this
Okay,
on
yep.
screen for a little bit, and now we're going to
Yep.
go over to Whitmer.
I looked. I went down. I don't think I went down to March 4th, but I haven't seen anything. So
So yeah, Whitmer's first one is about a girl with donuts, drinking, Detroit Community Art Show.
yeah, like how about you do it with
Do your job.
yeah, stand up for your civilians. Like yeah, because Tom did the right thing. Tom's a great guy. I've met him multiple times. I hope to get him on the show. I would love to get him on the show. But, it's kind of hard right now. We need some numbers. You know what I mean? Like, before a U.S. rep will pop on. I know. But it would be cool to get Tom Barrett out here because, like I said, he's a great guy. And, I mean, I'll probably see him this summer. This summer. He'll be there, and I'll invite him. If I see him, I'm inviting him in person to the show. Like,
and it's one thing, like, even something like that, though. This is the thing, like, I would tell people, like, Republicans are better than Democrats right now because of that. Republicans right now will talk about issues. Even if you don't agree with the issues, Democrats don't talk about any issue that is locally matters. Because even the issues that they fight for are on federal level that they can control by the state. Like, so I know I mentioned that me and my fiance, we listen to a financial podcast all the time. And
shout out.
one of the guests, Caleb Hammer, shout out. It was a trans couple on this week, and probably nice people outside of the podcast and whatnot. But they're from Oregon. They're moving to Germany because they were complaining that the U.S. is unsafe for them at this point.
Yeah.
And Caleb Hammer the whole time was asking them, like, you realize you're in a far left state? Like,
yeah.
Even if federally they take away gay marriage or federally they ban like certain procedure, you're in Oregon.
Yeah.
You're fine. But these people look so at the United States as like the world. And then they want to go to Germany, who also just got a right-wing government for the first time in ages. Like,
it's crazy. It's just Or like, here's a good example: Rosie O'Donnell. You know, she's like, "Oh, Trump's president. I'm gonna move to Ireland." Ireland kicked her out. They're deporting her because she did not go there legally, and I find that so fucking funny. Also, Conor McGregor's running for like president of Ireland. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh,
Listen, I wouldn't fuck with a country that has him as president. That's
I
all
wouldn't
I'm saying.
either. No,
That's
like,
all I'm saying.
But the big thing with
your
him,
president can win any fist fight with any other politician in the world. I'm gonna just, you know what, Ireland, you can take Russia's place. You can be third.
So what I've been seeing a lot recently, it's kind of breaking off trail, but so like Conor McGregor, he got charged with sexual assault and rape. He was charged with that. But like his wife is still by his side. I guess the lady's making it up, you know, conspiracy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But here's another thing too. Trump invited him to the White House and everyone's like, "Oh wow, rapist hanging out with a rapist." And I was like, "Oh my god, guy." Like that's all they talk about. I swear Donald Trump just lives in the left's head rent free. Like all the time. It's just fueling their hatred towards everything. Like
well, it's the same thing. They do it still with the Epstein shit.
yeah.
Like Trump is one of the few people who, before Epstein's like all of that came out, publicly denounced his friendship with him. Basically said like, "Yo, yeah, it was a mistake. I shouldn't have been friends with him. He does some sketchy ass shit." Then everything comes out and they go, "Ah, Trump hung out with him." It's like Trump doesn't even deny that he hangs out with him. Trump supporters don't even deny that they hung out. He disowned him. Like,
yeah, he's like, "I don't want to hang out with him after catching him doing shady shit at Mar-a-Lago. Like, I'm not doing this anymore." Like, because not every billionaire walks up like, "Hi, I'm Jeffrey Epstein. I have sex with minors." You know what I mean? Like, you don't just walk up and announce that. You don't know until you hang out with them more. Like,
would you like this child?
Like, you
that's how the
just
conversation
show up and do that. No, like, it takes time to, and then you have to read people and understand them and say, "Hey, yo, why, like, she's 15, she's my waitress here. Like, what are you doing?" Like,
and the scary thing is, like, even whatever Trump does, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Every politician right now is probably somewhere on those lists. Like, if it's not Epstein, Epstein's one guy. It's like, okay, you got a child trafficking ring. That's one. There's hundreds out there. And these are the most powerful people in the world. Diddy is another good example.
Yeah.
His was more like the entertainment field. But even then, like, it's they all know each other, whatnot. You got high up politicians, state politicians, whatnot. And as soon as one comes out for the left, they're not gonna sit there and go, "Well, I'm not voting for the left anymore because they were associated with this person back then." Like, it's all fake. No one cares.
Everyone hung out with Epstein. If you're a billionaire, you were hanging out with Epstein. Even if you didn't do sketchy shit. I guarantee you there's people who hung out with him a lot that never did sketchy shit. They're like, "Hey, you do you, man. I'm not doing this, though." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's also scary of, okay, sketchy shit. What does that mean? You went to an island, got massaged by a 16 to 18-year-old. It's like, okay, you can't put that on the same list of going to the island and having, like, a captured, slaved 12-year-old that's been there
exactly.
Since 8,
yeah, it's
like, we don't actually know what's happening. So when you just go, "Well, the dude's a creep, and this guy hung out with the creep, so I'm going to assume the worst of the worst," you're going, I mean, as someone who follows people on, like, YouTube and whatnot, there's a lot of left-wing YouTube, like, creators where if you follow that logic, like, there's never a group there where one doesn't end up getting outed as a pedophile or a groomer or abuser. Like,
all the time.
Like, you get a group of 5 people on YouTube, it's almost guaranteed that one's going to end up causing issues over a decade span.
Which, I mean, like, they've released who flew to the island, but everyone went to that island. You know what I mean? You got, like, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, George Bush, fucking everybody, Obama, Trump, everybody went there during some point. Like, everybody. And it's like, not everyone did something bad. You know, some people like just maybe went there for tea. Well, hey, like those ones were pretty bad from what I hear. But
all legit, though. The Diddy parties, even all the all the people who talk about say, like, there was 2 parties. There's the upstairs party that you didn't go to unless you wanted some weird fucking shit. Or the downstairs party, which was a big house party. It's like, you can't take the person who goes, "Oh, I just got invited to a Diddy party," went in, never went upstairs, never went, had a few drinks and went home, and go, "Yeah, but you hung out with Diddy." That's such an unfair characteristic of...
Yeah, no, you don't know what these people did. Like, people hang out with other people of power. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that they're doing the same fucked up shit that they're doing. It's like, no, you're just doing the same. You guys are just hanging out because you guys are both like powerful people. You guys are both millionaires, billionaires. Like, you want to hang
And
out.
you never
together.
know until you know. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
our friend group, we play video games every night. It's like, okay, we play video games. That's all we do. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, say we start streaming it. Okay, now we're all streamers playing video. And then it's like, you turn out one of the friends have a sketchy past. Whatnot. How are you supposed to know that? Even being close as we
Yeah.
are as a friend group.
If I don't
It's like,
tell you
okay.
something, you don't know.
Yeah, I
Like-
don't know who you message online. I don't know who.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and you'll see this with people who even just like cheat on their wife or whatnot, or they'll end up being an abuser. It's like, yeah, there's ways where you would never know that, but they expect you to like, I'm in a picture with someone, you should know everything about that person's life.
Exactly.
It's like that's
what I feel like.
not
People,
the
like I said
standard.
with Jeff, you don't just walk up and say you do weird shit. You know, like, hi, my name's Jeff and I do this weird shit. Like, no, you don't. You don't say that.
No.
Like,
yeah,
it's just crazy.
So, you need proof that not only did Trump do something there, but Trump knew that Epstein did stuff there. That Trump allowed Epstein to do stuff there. Like,
Mhm.
you're so far down the rabbit hole then, and every single time that they bring it up, they don't actually care because there's a ton of Democrats on the list too that they still would happily vote for today
Yeah.
against Trump.
Now,
So
good old Billy Boy Clinton, he probably indulged in. He was a strange man, but
you're saying the only president to ever get outed from the presidency because of sex-related activity might have done some weird stuff with
I
I
don't
think
know.
We're getting a little too close to conspiracy land here.
It was
I
kind
think I'm gonna
of. I
take a
did
step
see
back.
something. I think I brought it up the other show, but I want to bring it up again about like the Diet Coke button, the ice cream button,
Yeah.
and then Monica Lewinsky button.
Lewinsky button.
Yeah, and I was like, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, it's dude, remember I think Trump, one of the biggest things he's ever done was during the debate with Hillary where he brought up the women that Hillary silenced, the ones that accused Bill of misconduct
Yeah.
during the debate. That was a power move. And then they tried to do the same thing with Trump, and Trump basically just goes, "Yeah, they're liars." It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, that didn't work.
Yeah, it's like they try to say something, and he's like, "Well, yeah, women want my money." That's about it. Like,
Dude, they'll still say about like, oh, I cannot believe you guys voted for a felon. It's like your party lets half the felons out on the street.
yeah, it's
Morally, you don't have a leg to stand on right now. It's crazy, but
yeah.
we're reaching. Usually we want to hit about an hour, but we're at about the 53-minute mark.
Yeah,
Not
today's a slow
lot
day.
going on this
No,
week. Like,
Tesla stuff. There's going to be massive Tesla protests on the 29th, I guess. Like,
On the
massive. Nationwide, everywhere. So, I mean, they're going to get violent. They're going to get violent. Because there's going to be millions of people doing it. They're going to be
You
doing
think
dumb
riots?
shit. Maybe. But I feel like that's only if two sides clash.
You
which
think we're gonna have
will
a
happen.
Rittenhouse case?
No.
I mean, Rittenhouse was out there protecting public, like
Yeah.
a car lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so with
I don't know
Tesla,
either.
but... I
I
don't know.
hope not because
People are
I
saying
cannot
it's-
sit here.
Yeah, it's only until, like, they're over here, like, wearing a ski mask, jumping out and beating up people who are driving Teslas, and I'm like, yeah, you do that in, like, Michigan, you're gonna get shot. Like, some guy's just
They
gonna
should.
draw on you and shoot you. Yeah, which they should. I don't want to see violence, but, like, if you're over here causing violence and, threaten harm to people, people are gonna use that Second Amendment, and they're gonna pop you.
I can't believe I have to say this. If it's not your property, don't frickin' touch it. Like that's. My
Don't touch
dad
it.
has always taught me that of like you don't go on someone else's property even. Why? Because it's not your property. Like if you're
Yeah,
out in the woods or something, you accidentally end up on someone's property. That's one thing. But
yeah.
there's people where I've said before, if you're knocking at my door at 10 o'clock at night, you're best believe I'm not answering empty-handed. Like there's,
Yeah.
I have no
you
idea
better be
why
dying.
you're there.
You better be dying or something. Like,
Yeah, you're knocking for a good reason. You're making yourself know. You're yelling it by the door like, this is me. This is why I'm here. Like,
yeah.
but people are not that safe anymore. Like,
No.
but
I
we
think
will
most
see.
people should get a CPL. Yeah, you're 21, go get it.
Oh, everyone.
It's a class, go get it. You don't have to carry. I don't carry, but I have one. So if I want to, I can.
Yep.
Like if I'm going out, like
You should not be forced to, but I believe once you're 18 to 21, I believe there should be a class that you're allowed to just sign up for.
Yeah.
Paid by the federal government, just, hey, it's sent in the mail, you send this back to sender, and if
Mhm.
if you do, we'll tell you where to meet up, and we will train 25 to 50 of you all at one time. We'll get you guys
Yeah.
trained, ready to go, and go out, buy a gun, one that's good for you, protect your families. That's
exactly.
I don't think that's a bad thing. But hey, we
Not at all.
will be back on Friday with
Yep.
another episode, right?
Yep. Be sure to, like, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. Go to the other platforms. Watch all those. Watch it again. Watch the episode 10 times.
Share it. Share it.
Word of mouth, online, share it everywhere. That's the only way. It's the only way to spread it.
True. All right. We'll see you guys on Friday. Peace.
Happy birthday, Nancy Pelosi.